Trump announces doubling of tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum imports. U.S. President Donald Trump announced Tuesday that he will double tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Canada in response to Ontario's new surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. Starting Wednesday, Canadian steel and aluminum will face a 50% tariff. In a social media post, Trump described Canada as one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. He also demanded that Canada eliminate duties on dairy and other long-standing tariffs, warning that failure to do so could lead to measures that would, essentially, permanently shut down the automobile manufacturing business in Canada. By April, the only thing that makes sense is for Canada to become our cherished 51st state, Trump stated, arguing that annexation would resolve trade tensions and the northern border problem. He added that the artificial line of separation drawn many years ago will finally disappear. The move follows Ontario's decision on Monday to impose a 25% surcharge on electricity exports, affecting about 1.5 million homes in 3 U.S. states. Premier Doug Ford criticized the situation, saying, "It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump." Markets have been volatile since Trump launched, then partly paused, a trade war with Canada and Mexico last week. Canadian officials have suggested that Trump's ultimate goal is to destabilize Canada's economy as a step toward annexation. Elon Musk has claimed that Ukrainians were responsible for a major outage on X, stating in a Fox News interview Monday that a massive cyber attack linked to Ukrainian IP addresses was behind the disruption. There was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area, Musk alleged during his conversation with Larry Kudlow. Earlier, he had posted that the shutdown was caused by a coordinated group or even a country, emphasizing that it was done with a lot of resources. The platform experienced 3 outages throughout the day, with one lasting 2 hours. Although the hacking group Darkstorm took credit for the attack, Musk has not verified or confirmed their involvement. During the interview, Musk admitted that his work with the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has been challenging. Kudlow highlighted recent protests at Tesla stores, incidents of vandalism against Tesla vehicles, and arson targeting charging stations and dealerships. "Shots fired literally," Musk responded. Despite these challenges, Musk stated that he continues to run his companies while managing his DOGE responsibilities, which he described as great difficulty. He also revealed plans to expand his team from 100 to 200. Musk reiterated his commitment to cutting Social Security and Medicare to reduce government spending, even as Trump and the Republican Party push for a $4.7 trillion tax cut. He further claimed, without evidence, that Social Security fraud amounts to $500 billion. "It's a huge number," Kudlow remarked. "Yes," Musk agreed. Additionally, Musk claimed in a Saturday post on X that nationwide protests against him at Tesla dealerships were orchestrated by his critics. He specifically blamed the Democratic fundraising group Act Blue for organizing and financing the demonstrations, naming prominent figures such as George Soros and Reid Hoffman as key funders. However, Musk provided no evidence for this claim and even asked his followers for information. "If you know anything about this, please post in replies. Thanks, Elon." Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson has also alleged, without evidence, that town hall meetings turning contentious over DOGE-related job cuts were funded by Soros. In response, the GOP has advised lawmakers to avoid town halls altogether to escape direct confrontations with angry constituents. Reid Hoffman rejected Musk's claims, posting on X, "I never funded anyone for Tesla protests." He added that public frustration with Musk is real. It's easier to explain away their anger than to accept that actions have consequences. Hoffman also clarified that Act Blue is a payment processing platform for Democratic candidates and does not organize protests. Zelensky's dilemma: submit to Trump or risk Ukraine's future. Until recently, the war between Russia and Ukraine had reached a stalemate, with neither side making significant progress. While Russia wasn't winning, Ukraine wasn't either. President Volodymyr Zelensky's trip to Saudi Arabia last week reveals how much the situation has shifted, largely due to Donald Trump's actions in favor of Russia. Zelensky's presence in Jeddah likely wouldn't have happened if Trump hadn't given Russia such crucial support in its war against Ukraine. Ukrainian soldiers stationed along the front lines in Pokrovsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kharkiv, Kupiansk, and Sumy province have observed a marked reduction in Russian forces' effectiveness and morale. Ukrainian intelligence reports suggest that Ukraine is far from collapsing. Sources indicate that, if able to hold on for another 18 months, Ukraine could ultimately break Russia's military power. However, the White House, influenced by Trump, does not share this optimism. Trump has repeatedly said that Ukraine doesn't hold the cards, dismissing Zelensky's strategy. Trump has given Putin two significant advantages. First, by suspending U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Then, when Europe seemed poised to step in, Trump further weakened Ukraine by halting intelligence sharing. These decisions have led to a renewed Russian offensive in the Kursk region, which appears to be coordinated with Trump's stance. This move has relieved pressure on Russian forces in the east, even as Ukraine holds its ground. "We are not losing, and the Russians are not winning," said Battalion Commander Kallas, stationed on the Eastern Front. "They're slowing their pace, sending smaller groups into battle, and they're clearly using less artillery. They're terrified of our drones." Now, reports suggest Ukraine may be willing to consider a ceasefire in the air during the talks in Jeddah. This would provide temporary relief from Russia's relentless missile and drone attacks, but would also require Ukraine to halt its long-range strikes on Russian oil refineries, air bases, and supply routes. Such an agreement would likely favor Russia more than Ukraine, especially since Kyiv would not be receiving reinforcements during the ceasefire. If the ceasefire fails, Zelensky or his successor would be blamed by the Trump administration, potentially resulting in the loss of U.S. support. Trump's last major leverage against Ukraine could be the suspension of the Starlink satellite network, crucial for Ukraine's military operations. Ukrainian soldiers, however, remain resolute. "We're used to being betrayed," said Roman, a soldier from Ukraine's 3rd Brigade who was wounded in Bakhmut. "We can fight to the last Ukrainian, but that's not what we want. We've been betrayed both inside and outside our country. This is our destiny," he added. "This is not the first time we've fought under such circumstances." Donald Trump has expressed strong disapproval over a new tax increase on electricity exports imposed by Ontario's premier, which he claims could affect 1.5 million Americans. This move follows his earlier decision in February to impose 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico, alongside 10% tariffs on Chinese imports. Trump justified these actions by stating they were necessary to hold these countries accountable for failing to stop illegal immigration and the flow of harmful drugs, such as fentanyl, into the U.S. However, after facing retaliatory threats, Trump decided to pause his tariff plans for a month, with new tariffs scheduled for April 2nd. In a bold statement, Trump suggested that Canada could avoid these increases if it became the U.S.'s cherished 51st state, even referring to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as the Governor of Canada. Canada's response came swiftly. Trudeau made it clear that counter-tariffs would be applied to U.S. goods. Additionally, Ontario's Premier Doug Ford escalated the situation by threatening to raise electricity prices or even cut off power to neighboring U.S. states such as Minnesota, New York, and Michigan, potentially impacting 1.5 million Americans. This could lead to higher energy bills for these states, with costs rising by about $100. Ford expressed his reluctance to take such drastic steps, saying, "If the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely. Believe me when I say I do not want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people because it's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible, that's President Trump." He also posted on X, formerly Twitter, criticizing Trump's actions and stating that until the U.S. president removed the threat of tariffs permanently, Canada's response would remain firm. Trump, undeterred by Canada's actions, retaliated by claiming that the U.S. no longer needed Canada's resources. He posted on Truth Social, "We don't need your cars, we don't need your lumber, we don't need your energy," referencing the tariffs Canada imposes on U.S. farm products, which range from 250% to 390%. He dismissed Ontario's new electricity surcharge as something Canada is not even allowed to do, threatening that the U.S. would retaliate with its own tariffs on April 2nd. Trump concluded his post by calling Canada a tariff abuser and stated that the U.S. would no longer subsidize its neighbor. "We don't need your cars, we don't need your lumber, we don't need your energy, and very soon you will find that out. Make America great again."